Welcome back, and thanks for listening to Biz 15, the voice of the SME. We're joined by Andrew Rowley, Business Support Director for Brook. And to my right, we've got Neil Garrett from Ginger Fox Studio in Barnsley. Now, me and Neil, we go back a fair few years now, don't we, Neil? So we've worked together creating what is now known as Brook Corporate Development, and what is now seen as Brook Corporate Development. So creating the brand that kind of underpins everything that we do. So in this episode and the next few episodes, we're going to talk about the importance of brands, and I'll bring in some examples as to why we've done everything and invested so much kind of time, effort, and money into our brands. So you can kind of get some examples as to kind of the reasons why we've done it and so on and so forth. So, Neil, do you want to just come in now and just introduce yourself? It'd be really good to kind of just tell us a little bit more about Ginger Fox Studio, where you operate, what you do, and kind of the staffing structure.
We're Ginger Fox Studio. We specialise in brand design and everything that comes along with that. So that could be animation, websites, the illustration side of things, photography, anything that kind of can back up the identities that we create. Yeah, that's what we tend to do. So we obviously operate from Barnsley, but we work with clients like across the UK and internationally. So we're kind of not dictated by location in that sense. So it's really good for us. And staffing structures. Obviously, I'm founder, creative director. There's Asia. She is a graphic designer and animator, and then Lucy's the studio assistant, and she kind of,
keeps you all in check.
Keeps us in check in a sense, and keeps me a bit like, because I go off on tangents with a lot of things. Being a creative kind of mind, it's easy for me to just wander off and do something I'm not supposed to be doing, even though I'm supposed to be steering the ship as it is. But yeah, that's basically where.
What's your typical client? Who do you get inquiries from, or have kind of repeat business with?
We've got quite a wide variety of clients. Sometimes we work with we've got startups to establish companies that from startups that they're wanting like the new brand creating, and then established ones that they're a few years in or whatever, and they've had a bit of branding done, but then it's like, no, we've changed as business has changed or for whatever reason, and then work with them to kind of reinvigorate things a little bit. And we have a lot of repeat business purely from the work that we've done with these clients at the start, and I think it's good because like my thought with everything is I don't see them as like everything just as a quick payday. It's like we've got a long-term goal of working with clients to see how they grow and we grow along with them.
I think Brook is a classic example of that.
Perfect example, to be fair.
We first started working with you, the Royal Way. I first started working with you, what would it be? It was before the pandemic, wasn't it? It was just before we went into lockdown. I think it was the October before.
Yeah, October we kind of launched.
Yeah,
didn't we, I think.
And we just came to you for... I think it was just doing some social graphics, and just because we're looking at increasing LinkedIn and we needed some case studies.
Yeah, just based on the existing stuff, and I know the rebrand was talked about, but obviously it wasn't going in place just yet, so we kind of got a little bit of footing just to improve some things what you were doing already.
Repeat business is it's much cheaper to retain a client than it is to invest and try and get a new one. Yeah. So once your business is there, it comes down to kind of carrying on doing such a good job. But
you've got to look after those clients that you've got, and obviously that was a big part of it when, like I said, pandemic hit as well. So it was.
When you're looking at repeat business, then obviously how do you do that, Neil? Because obviously you get the branding, and then if that works for the business, then I'm guessing that they're not going to look to change that for a while because they need that recognition. So what do you look for that? Is it like looking for expanding it into other aspects of the business?
Yeah, because generally speaking, we did exactly the same with you guys. It was, we did obviously the full identity to start with, and we ran it across, like just the general social bits and stuff, and obviously the website got created, and then businesses tend to realise that we've got, there might be some marketing materials, but they kind of forgot about, that were left in a cupboard or whatever, and it's like that'll need doing and updating. So there's always continuous development on things for, like I say, it could be mailers, even email shots and stuff like that. So that's what I mean. You've got to continuously work on the brand to kind of keep it a bit relevant with.
And I guess that's why you have to keep contact with the business so that you understand where they're going on their journey. And,
I can't imagine doing an identity for somebody and just saying, here you go, that's it. I mean, some companies, because they've obviously some have got like their own, say, marketing departments and things like that, they're quite capable. We'll set them kind of some templates up and stuff, and they can create on the back of them for some things. But generally, because we know how things need to look, and we're a bit OCD about looking after the brands as well, it's like it's always nice for them to come back and work with us.
Well, brands evolve as well. So our brand evolved ridiculously, kind of over, I'd say, a 6 to 12 month period, in that we created the identity with you, and once that identity was created, we were then looking at evolving it and breaking it down into subdivisions, and then those subdivisions needed an identity, and then once we then got those subdivisions, they then needed all the marketing material that then underpinned them. So it does kind of evolve, and it keeps going, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then it could be like, say, another, I don't know, 5 years time, it might need switching up again, like to a totally different direction. Suddenly, Brook might be evolving into a different market, so it might be, oh, we need to do this. And I think that's what, like, the importance of brand and what people are kind of recognising more so, rather than, oh, I just want a logo. It's never just a logo or a colour scheme or whatever. It's what underpins your business essentially. Like I said, the messaging and everything else that comes along with that is.
We've talked about that a lot, because we've talked about the fact of the two big things we talk about is culture and then the branding. And actually, your branding should reflect what your culture is and match what you've got. So it is a bigger piece.
It is, and obviously, a lot of the time, that's a customer, that's their first port of call. It's not always that they've met you or anything else. It's usually, or like, see your logo, or might have come across you on social media. So if none of that's like coercive and matches in and ties in throughout to your website and everything else, then people are going to be like, it's a bit disjointed. And again, because it's all matching, it kind of builds a bit of trust.
And we'll come on to more questions about branding later, because I'm a massive, I believe that your brand shouldn't just be your logo that's on the wall, like you've just mentioned. And if somebody thinks that your brand is just creating a logo, then they've got something wrong, because one, there's so much other stuff that underpins it. But obviously it's not just about how you looked, it's about how you perceived, all the indirect kind of things that come across with your brand when you're out and about. So there's quite a lot of elements, but we'll touch on that later. In terms of the last 2 years, Neil, how's it been for your business? Now, I know you do branding, and that's what we're touching on today. You do other things as well. Has there been a demand for it? Have people kind of use the time to reset their business and then instruct businesses like yourself to then just have a fresh look and almost restart their operation? Or has it gone the other way, where businesses generally have had no cash to be able to invest in stuff like this?
We had a bit of a mixture, really, with that. I mean, the last 2 years have been all right. There's been a lot of businesses in a lot worse position than we are, to be fair. But the last 2 years, it kind of, a lot of the companies that we work with, like say a lot of the charities and stuff that we do work for, they had to kind of flip what they were doing. Like they used to do a lot of face-to-face with their end users and, do a lot of printed materials and whatever else. So they had to flip it around a bit. So we did a lot more digital stuff for them, which wouldn't have been done if the pandemic had not. So in some ways, some clients spent more money because of they had to change what they were doing. But like I say, other ones were kind of a bit more reserved, and we had to handhold a little bit and just, kind of look after as existing clients, kind of thing. We picked up new clients as well, which when the pandemic first started, I was a bit like, like most people, we'd be like, what's going to happen, kind of thing. But you know, we kind of weathered it, and it's, yeah, I think we've come out better for it in some ways, just the way we think a little bit, and like I say, a bit more the flexibility what we do and where we work and things. So it's.
Well, you would have had to do exactly the same as what your clients were doing, in that if you were offering a service and that service needed to then change because the way that you engage was completely different, then you're almost having to create your own brand and identity and stuff for yourself, rather than to kind of adapt to the same way that your customers are. But you actually grew during COVID though, didn't you? Because you, in terms of staff, because Lucy joined you.
Lucy, the lockdown started in the March. And Lucy started in the October. It wasn't particularly planned, but you know, right person, right time kind of thing, and she's what we needed. You know, so it was a bit of a no-brainer in that sense. But not many people took staff on during the pandemic, so yeah, kind of. Yeah,
well, it's well, we grew during COVID, not initially. It was. A bit squeaky bum time, to be fair, when it first came around. But we did a project with you, and then we kind of aligned ourselves through our branding to our target markets, and then we won more work. So it you know, the ROI of it did come back around, which allowed us to grow. But in terms of your business, so in terms of Ginger Fox, I'm keen to understand what's your USP really. What differentiates your business from potential others? Kind of what's the unique selling point of Ginger Fox?
It's a strange one because obviously there's, you know, and where we are based, there's a lot of good design agencies as well. So we all do very similar things. You know, it's kind of, we just probably attack things in a different way. So, and I say it to a lot of people when we pitch for jobs and done whatever, and I was like, pretty much it's who you feel comfortable working with, and I think, and that obviously helps the process for us. As long as you've got a bit of trust with that person, then you know it moves forward that way. So USP is the team really, I think. And you know, you can put, you know, like figures in front of it if you want, like it's, you know, we might have increased business for a company doing this and this, but I think if you haven't got the right team to get the right results for that business, then it's kind of, there's no point working with them. Because
I completely agree with you, because obviously we knew you anyway through kind of being based in Barnsley, you're based in Barnsley. One of the main things that we knew you were going to do a good job, because your case studies and everything sell themselves, but we get on really well. I get on really well with Asia, and then obviously when you introduced Lucy, I went to school with Lucy. So we all knew each other, and we all got on. And one of the main things that, you know, is one of the key values that we've got on our new wall that you did for us behind is that collaboration. And I've noticed it with your business, that the amount of collaboration, well, maybe not just your business, maybe your industry, or maybe it's just a Barnsley thing on the creative side of things, but everybody collaborates really, don't they? And I've noticed that even through the Mac that we bought for Richard that started, that was through somebody that operates in a similar industry that you knew that you were working with and collaborating with, and I found it really interesting.
Yeah, because the thing is, I mean, there are, you know, people say, yeah, we specialise in, you know, it's everything, and yeah, but if you specialise in everything, you'd have to have a team of about 50 people sat there, and that's why, you know, we're a small team, but we can do the big things because we've got that good network. Like it's web developers, animators, other photographers, videographers. You know, whatever we kind of need, we can. You know, if our client needs it, I'm quite happy to say, you know, you can deal with him direct even, and I'll get involved a little bit, you know, as an in between if I need to, you know, to do a bit of guidance on what we need to do. But yeah, collaboration is a big thing with creative industry. I mean, probably 15 years ago, 20, well, I've been doing it like 20 years, but you know, agencies didn't talk to each other. It was really like closed off little sector. But you know, like if we couldn't do a job for whatever reason, I'd quite happily recommend one of the other guys that I know, another agency. You know,
and he'll come